Have you ever had one of those moments where you made one tiny decision and months later, or maybe even years later, you look back and thought, whew, wow, if I would have just turned left instead of right, my entire life would have been completely different. Maybe for the better or the good. I don't know. But I know I've done this not for the good. Maybe it was saying yes to a date, taking a different job opportunity, sending one text, or maybe not sending that text at all. But one tiny decision can completely change everything and anything. So here's a question. I really want you to think about this. Was the future created in that moment, or was it always there? Always there, just waiting for you to step into it. See, today we are going to do a deep dive into one of my favorite concepts: parallel realities and the nature of time. And we're also going to tie in my favorite book, Reality Transurfing, and the idea is that every possibility and every version of your life may already exist. And stay with me till the end because I want to show you how I took these concepts to make very drastic changes in my life. But before we jump in, I want to be really clear and upfront. This is not established scientific facts. Reality Transurfing, if you're not familiar, number one, it's a book that I'm completely obsessed with. I've listened to it and read it over and over again. It's more of a philosophical, I can't say that word, and a metaphorical framework where it discussed physics and interpretations that have not really been proven yet. But my goal is not to convince you of anything today. Honestly, it's simply to invite you to think differently. And more importantly, I want to hear your feedback, your insight, because this topic is something that I love. I love to discuss, and honestly, I don't have anyone to discuss it with. See, my boyfriend, I know the majority of the time thinks I'm out of my mind, I'm crazy, but he still loves me. The other night, I asked him, I said, babe, what do you think about parallel realities and time? Does it really exist? And are we like in the future, in the past, all right now? Or is it just now? Like, what? And he like looked at me like I had 5 different heads. And then he asked me, I don't know, honey, what do you think? And I just started laughing hysterically because I don't know. But it's something that I love to discuss and educate and learn because some of the things I want to talk about, these perspectives, has really changed my life. And I wish somebody told me this years ago. But let's start with time. See, most of us, we picture time like this picture. It's like we got the past, present, and future. Almost like we're just pulling pages off of a calendar, right? Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow hasn't happened. And today is all there is. Seems obvious, right? Well, physics actually complicates that whole picture, honey. Because Albert Einstein, a sweet beloved friend of mine, which I'm sure a lot of you know who he is, he showed us something very different, showed us something fascinating. And time isn't universal. There isn't one giant cosmetic clock that everyone experiences the same way, right? Depending on speed and gravity, time can pass very differently. That alone is enough to make your brain do gymnastics. But here's where it gets even stranger because we're going to get a little weird. Some physicists, they've described something called the block universe. And this is something that I just kind of recently learned about. I don't know if any of you have heard of the block universe, but it's like imagine your entire life is a movie. It's a film script, not Netflix. We're going to upgrade. Imagine it like the entire Netflix server. So it's like every episode, every season, every ending already existing. It's already done, created, existing in this server. And you, with your sexy self, are just simply watching an episode at a time. You're like, you think about that, Leanne. So when you watch episode 3, episode 9 already exists. Netflix isn't filming. it while you're watching, right? It's already there. You're just not there yet, watching it, experiencing it. See, this is like one little way that physicists will explain it through visualizing through time. Not everyone agrees with it, but it's a respected way of thinking about space-time. Like, we only experience what we are attuned to. Now, let's bring in reality transurfing. Vidal in Zealand, he describes something called the space of variation. I love this, and this changed my life. Like I said, I'm going to explain how I use this to make very drastic changes. But when I first heard this, I was like, what? What? Because what he says is every possible version of reality already exists. So you, babe, think about this. Really think about this. Every career, every relationship, every city you could possibly have or live in, every version of you, the competent you, the anxious you, the you that has maybe suffers from drug addiction, or the healthy you, the millionaire you. I mean, babe, I could go on and on and on. The version of you, 20,000, more than you can even imagine, already exists. Those possibilities, those versions and timelines already exist. And according to reality transurfing, you're not creating reality. You're not creating it from like the ground up, from scratch. You're selecting it. You're selecting like what possibility you move towards. I want to give you an analogy because they always help me. Imagine Spotify. Millions of songs are already on that platform. And when you hit play, Spotify doesn't call Taylor Swift and say, hurry up, we need you to go through a breakup and create another song. No, the song was already there. You just simply had to hit the play and tune into it, to experience it, to hear it. See, reality transurfing says consciousness works in a similar way. Your beliefs, huge. Your expectations, your emotional state, your habits, your identity are constantly tuning you towards certain life paths. Now, before anyone says, so if I think about a large pink cotton candy castle with unicorns running around, is that magically gonna appear? Probably not. And if it did, my HOA would have a huge problem with it, but that's a whole nother video. But reality transurfing isn't talking about wishing, like you're not wishful thinking here. It's talking about alignment, getting you aligned with that path. And here's what psychology tells us. Your identity influences your decisions. Your decisions create your habits. Your habits create your results. So if you generally become someone who's calm under pressure, you're going to make different choices. If you become someone who believes opportunities, endless opportunities exist for you, you're going to start noticing opportunities other people just ignore or overlook because they're so stressed out and just in the hustle and bustle. If you become healthier, your energy changes, right? You're going to meet different people. You're going to go different places. You're going to say yes to different experiences. Like, yeah, I'm down. So basically, babe, your life begins looking completely different, right? So to someone watching from the outside, this has happened to me. It's almost like they're going to be like, oh my God, I feel like they just stepped into a different reality. Well, they must have got so lucky. No. Psychology explains that through behavior and perception. Reality transurfing describes it as moving to a different timeline, parallel reality. Different language, very, very, very similar outcome, right? Now, I want to talk about the past because this changed the way that I think. Reality Transurfing says the past the past happened, but your relationship to it isn't fixed. I know. What does that mean? Think about it. Your brain is like Google Photos, right? You know how every memory just like pops up with like all these emotions and photos, and you remember this from 5 years ago. Your brain is going to wants to go towards something similar, right? Except it doesn't. It just stores. It stores these memories. It stores all these like feelings and emotions off of what these little snapshot photos. It uses them to predict your future. Because neuroscientists, they even said that our brain is like these prediction machines. It's constantly asking, based on everything that's already happened before, what should I expect next? That prediction, that little Google storage, I've called it like the software, that prediction is what you notice. Honey, it's how you interpret different situations and sometimes how you react. So I love catching myself with this. Have you ever met someone new and immediately, I hate when I do this, but I love catching it, but you'll meet somebody new and based off of the way that they look or act or dress, you say, oh, they're not going to like me. This relationship's not going to work out. And it's not because they did or said anything. It's because someone years ago that looks similar to this Google snapshot photo that you have stored in your memory resembled them in some way. That's your past just quietly whispering to your future, to your present, excuse me. So reality transurfing says that you're just continuing to resonate with the same timeline. Psychology, it calls this, it's like learn principle, like influencing principles that are influencing your behavior. Either way, the invitation is the same. So become aware of the pattern. And like I said, it's fun. And I hate to admit that I judge people, but I do. I think we all do. But it feels so good when I can catch myself and say, all right, let's not move forward with this, Leanne, because that's not necessarily true. That's just based off of a prediction, old patterning, software that may not and most likely isn't accurate. So I want to talk about, let me give you another analogy to kind of get that into play. I love analogies. Think of Google Maps, right? I drive a lot, so this one hit home with me. Before you even get in the car and you put in your destination, Google Maps is going to pull up so many different routes, right? There's like a scenic route, the avoid tolls, or the highway. And Google Maps isn't building those roads while you're driving. Those roads already exist. And every turn you make, you simply change which route you're on. So life feels a lot like that, doesn't it? Think about it. Every choice, every conversation, every habit, every belief, I want to underline that, belief you reinforce is another turn of the steering wheel. And sometimes a tiny turn today puts you somewhere completely different 2 years from now. So do parallel realities actually exist? I'd love to know what you think. I don't know. I think so. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics, like the many worlds interpretation, that one's crazy. It's like imagining all these possible outcomes already occurring. And it's like these universes branching off. It's like a series of scientific ideas, but it all hasn't been confirmed over interpretations yet. That was like a Jill Rogan podcast I listened to. But reality transurfing offers a metaphysical model where, I guess this is what I do believe in, countless life variations already exist. And your awareness, honey, tunes towards one through your state and your choices. So psychology doesn't require parallel realities at all. It shows that changing your beliefs, changing your attention, your habits, your environment can radically and drastically change the life that you experience. It's just all through these different lenses. So one surprisingly practical takeaway I want you to hear. Whether reality is a giant library, a giant Netflix server, or that Spotify playlist, or that dang Google Maps full of possibilities. Today still matters because today's thoughts become tomorrow's habits. Today's habits become tomorrow's identity, and today's identity influences tomorrow's life. And maybe that's what people have been trying to tell us all along. Not that you and I were just magically creating reality with every thought, but that you're just continuously participating in which version of your life becomes the more likely. And honestly, I think that's super empowering because for me, it means my story isn't finished. Your story's not finished. It means your next decision matters. You don't have to keep replaying the same old chapter. You can start writing a whole new, different one. So for me, when I took these perspectives, and I noticed I began to catch myself with those old patterns and that old software where I was taking a look at somebody or a situation or any given circumstance, and I could go back to old patterning and say, is that even true? Because that is based off of a prediction. I loved catching myself and I loved saying no. Pull back, Leanne. Be present right here and now. And that change, that awareness truly helped me because then I wasn't just reliving that same book and just continuing that chapter that I didn't want to live. And then when I changed my identity and worked on my core inner beliefs, my whole life changed for the better. And I got to be honest, my beliefs, I wasn't even totally really sure of. I remember I sat with myself and I was like, why does this keep happening? But it was happening because it was a belief that I had within me that was creating and making my identity, which was giving me this outcome that I didn't want in my reality. And so when I was able to go, I got to make that noise and like stop the pattern and stop just that Google imaging and predicting the future because our brains are these predictive machines. When I was able to stop that and work on my core identity and beliefs, I believe that I started living in a different parallel timeline, reality, whatever you want to call it. Or psychologically, I just started choosing better and making better decisions. Hopefully, this is making sense to you, but I believe our beliefs are everything, but we're not always aware of these beliefs. And that's what kept me stuck for so long. And I hate to say it, but yeah, I am 41 years old. And I wish I sat with myself 10, 15, 20 years ago and said, hey, what do you believe you deserve? What is your identity? Because I know my life would have played out completely differently. I know I would have made those different decisions, those tiny little decisions that would have changed the next months, the next years, you see what I'm saying? Those next little branches of who knows of our reality. But it wasn't until I pulled in and went within and did the shadow work. And I'm not talking about the shadow work to where you're going to cry and bring up all these past horrible experiences. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you taking a look at those patterns, babe, those patterns that are just running the show in the background that you're not always and completely, most likely aware of, but it's putting you on that parallel timeline, like you're hitting that Spotify music radio station or on that Netflix episode that you don't want to be on. So take a look at those core beliefs. I used a shadow workbook that I will link in the description that you can get on Amazon, and it's at your own pace, and it truly, truly helped me, and I know a couple others, jump to a better version, a better timeline, or branch, whatever you want to call it, so that they could start making better decisions and start living at their highest potential. So I will leave that in the description. And with that, much peace and love. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. And to make sure you leave a comment. I want to know, even link some other videos in here, share with the community, share with me, because like I said, I don't have I don't know why I'm embarrassed to say this, but I don't have anyone to talk to about this stuff. And I could talk about this until the cows come home. And I feel like all my friends and like maybe my boyfriend are like, You're so weird." But I want to know. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you've heard. I want to know what you believe, what you think, and what is interesting and fascinating to you. And if you've changed your life in any way by any of these principles or concepts. So truly looking forward to it. But with that, much peace and love, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video.